Welcome to Oh Brother, a podcast of three brothers trying to figure it all out, with your hosts, Brandon, Collin, and Aaron. On this week's show, thermocline in my house. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
It is a Wednesday.
It is, in fact.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it's already been a kind of insane week. It did not start off well at all, even a little bit.
That's
okay. So
why?
So Sunday night, I go to sleep, but
as one does,
But like about 10:30, 11 o'clock, I go to the bathroom one more time. Okay, TMI people, right? Whatever. And
this is how going to bed works. Sorry, folks.
Go downstairs, lay on the couch, and I fall asleep. And I wake up to around 2 o'clock in the morning to a sound. And I'm trying to put this together. And we do have a dog staying over. And I'm like, is that the sound of a dog peeing? That's a lot. That's a lot of urine. So I sit bolt upright and I go into our playroom area. It's kind of like another dining area. And I flip on the light. And I'm like, why is this light so incredibly dim? And that's when I start to feel the water hitting my feet. And I realize that there is water pouring out of my light fixture.
Spoilers. I don't know if you know this, but that's not where water goes.
It's not.
That's not.
Right? So I become insta awake and race upstairs to find that the upstairs bathroom, which I had used at 11 o'clock at night, is now overflowing. And the water had fortunately not gone towards the hallway where the carpet is. No, it just stayed in its corner and gone down through the holes and everything that are in my 100-year-old home, and had just decided that they were going to follow gravity down. And I got that shut off, plunged and draining, and then mopped up everything in the bathroom. Then raced downstairs, and I just stood there like, how do I?
Yeah, what do you do?
So I turned off the light. The light was turned off. So I went.
Okay, good. Step one: turn the electricity back off.
This is not my first day. So I.
Step one: I turned the light on so I could see better.
Okay, so this is going to sound like a weird complaint, but it's when they remodeled the home, they gave the downstairs very tall ceilings. I cannot touch my ceilings. I have to lift Lillian above my head before we touch the ceilings. They're very tall.
That is very tall. Listeners, Collin is a very tall man. So normally he complains about the opposite. Everything is so small, I whack my head on all the stuff.
So now, though, I have to run out and grab my massive A-frame ladder, right, and run it inside. And then I have our light is a big dome light. And it's just it's completely filled to the brim with water. And I'm like, I have to get this down without dropping this, losing control over it, losing my balance, and lower this down.
Getting electrocuted.
You know. And so
that's it. You missed the mark. You missed the main thing.
Well, I was actually at that time more concerned about dropping this heavy piece of glass and having it hit the floor and shatter into 1,000 pieces, and then me having to clean up water and glass and everything. So
yeah, but like when you clean the water, it would probably just bring the glass with it.
Yeah. So anyway, but I'm also barefoot, and I don't.
Okay,
that's.
I mean, yes, but
key thing. But anyway,
that's just you're always barefoot. So like, I just assume every story you tell you're barefoot. This is true. That's what happens now in my life. Like, you could be a story about like running down a mountain after a duck and be like, he's barefoot. It's fine. It's just
yes. Well, when I'm not mountain duck running, I am lowering the big giant dome light, and it's got.
I believe you mean Ozark mountain duck running.
Ozark mountain duck. Oh. Ozark mountain duck racing. Okay, that's what it's going to be. Duck racing. That's a tip. lowering the dome down and the little screw in the center. So I just let my finger out of that, and the water just shoots down through that center hole and hits the floor and just going everywhere. And then I get that down, I set it aside, and I still have to get the plate because it's got that plate that it secures to. I've got to get that down. So now I've got to go find wrenches and screws and all sorts of stuff to get, to get it down. And I'm pulling it down, and I'm undoing wires, and I'm like, all of these wires are hot. I know they are, but
and now they're coated in water. Perfect insulator.
And, one thing about water, we all know it is.
It's the universal solvent. Wait, we said different things.
Yeah, and so I get that all separated, and now I get that down. The plate's down, and now I'm like, okay, now what? So, our downstairs are very, very old hardwood floors. They're not like nice new ones that are tight fit grooves or whatever. So these floors are soaking up this water. And it all went into this massive rug that we have. So I have to roll up the rug, get it outside, start mopping up.
Collin's neighbors see him bringing out a rug in the middle of the night, rolled up, throwing it in the yard.
Throw it in the yard, cursing and
real awkward.
Yes. After I had run inside.
Did anybody come downstairs at any point and witness this?
No.
Wow.
No.
You managed to do this like so stealthily that
Megan
nobody
didn't know
woke
until
up
the next morning when she came downstairs at 7 a.m. Yeah. I'm good at this. But yeah,
I'm imagining what Megan's face looked like, but I also am in my mind imagining what it would have looked like if she would have come downstairs about 2:30 to see you on this ladder.
Yeah, this ladder up in the dark, her frantically flipping the light switch, right?
And you being like, no.
That's exactly what would have happened, right? And this is yet another reason why I am a huge proponent of headlamps. If you have a headlamp, listeners, this technology has been around for a decade or more, like that is easily accessible to people without being cost prohibitive. Get a headlamp in your life. It saves you removing splinters, crawling through spaces, standing on a ladder at 2 a.m. in the morning with water rushing down all over your head and body as you're removing a dome light. Oh my gosh. It's just wonderful. So I got that down, and
I have too. I guess
headlamps are just amazing. I once, like Boy Scouts, that was like lots of major takeaways from Boy Scouts. One of them, headlamps are a lifesaver, right? So
there you go.
I get all this out. I get the floor mopped up. I get it all set. And then it's like, I'm not going to. I was then on what else, but like Reddit, like what do I do now? And
Thank you, Reddit guys.
People were like, well, here's what people were like: drill holes in your ceiling, cut holes in your walls so that you can see where the water, so you can trace the water paths. And I'm like,
no, I know where it came from. This isn't like a mystery.
I'm not so concerned about that. I'm just going to. I mean, because then I was like, okay, here's the thing: like, it's just one time. It's a one time. This stuff happens all the time, and mold doesn't grow and destroy and kill everybody in the house, right? So, like, and the plus here, okay, remember here, plus is this is not a new home construction. This home leaks like a sieve. The outside air is inside. The inside
well ventilated,
well ventilated in every surface. I'm not all that worried.
Just pull a dad and bust out your dehumidifiers. Right, and just like set them everywhere.
So there's a dehumidifier in the place. And then the next morning, I was
sorry, I peaked the audio there. My bad. I didn't.
I'll cut that back. I'll duck that audio later. But no, I was like, then I went to bed and all freaked out about it. And I was like, I'm just gonna have to look for water stains on the ceiling. We'll put some Kill down on it and we'll paint over it, and it's gonna be fine. Whatever. And then I woke up the next morning and I was like, I didn't go check the basement to see if any water went into it. And sure enough, I went downstairs in the basement and there was water on the floor of the basement. That, my friends, is how much water, and I think more importantly, how leaky my entire house is. So then
that means it drained through, so it didn't stay in the floor above. So that's good.
Stay in the floorboards. So what I did was I did position a fan in the basement. It's actually still running. I just pointed it up at the floorboards to where the water had entered to help dry that area out a little more. See, look, I got fans.
circulation.
So, and the other thing that I never have quite appreciated is that. So basically, all that we're going to do is I didn't contact insurance. We're just going to be fine. We're just going to repaint. We're just going to make sure everything's dry.
Listeners,
repaint the ceiling.
Don't tell.
Yeah, it's fine. And but what we're going to do is so the things I didn't realize that I don't appreciate, because in the basement is where we have our dehumidifier running most of the time, right? Because that's where you need it most of the time, because that's where it settles and gets
where the moisture is,
damp, whatever.
In a basement.
So
it's not for nothing they make cheese in basements.
Exactly right. Cheese basement cheese. Yeah. That's I was going to think it's a show title.
Somebody out there. That's your free punk album name. There you go. You can have that.
Yeah, basement cheese slices. I think you have to add. Because of three words. That's what you need. Is just how hot running a dehumidifier makes the room. Like it raised the temperature of our playroom, because I have little temperature sensors in all of our major rooms, and I can look and see the temperature in our playroom versus every other room, and it's like 3 degrees warmer. it's like very warm in there, which
is not based on my experience with humidity in Missouri summers. This is not the result I would have expected.
Well, it's a dehumidifier, right? So because
that's true. Yeah. But drying the air out, you would think.
Drying the air out, and if you just stand on the exhaust of the thing, it just blows hot air out. It's just like a dryer. Like it just is, which makes sense because it's drying the air, and so
it's just like a dryer because it's drying.
And so, like, as you go from like our living room into the playroom into the kitchen, it's a thermal. There's a thermocline as you're going through my house now.
You're gonna have a weather front in there, man. Watch us go rain in your house.
And which is fine, because what I need that room to just be like hot and dry. And that was the thing that Dad was like, just run your furnace. And I was like, okay, that's fine, except we were having a weird like temperature spike right now where it's like also raining outside and it's 75 or 80 degrees during the day. So,
it was a weird day today. I didn't really understand. It was bizarre.
And the low overnight was like 65 for us, which isn't enough to drop the temperature of my house very much. And so I couldn't even run
I mean, Megan is not going to complain if you turn the heater on.
No, but I will complain.
Yeah, but Megan will be fine. She'll be like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to our house.
Oh, you want to turn the heater on at 77 degrees? Okay.
Perfect.
Let's make it 80 in here. No. So that was
she'd be okay.
That's how we started off Monday, and I was very thankful that I was actually home for this. Because I finally have my staff down in Springfield set up to the point where they don't need me there monitoring and shadowing or doing anything.
All right.
I can't imagine if I had not been downstairs, Megan coming down at 7 in the morning, and this had been going on for 9 hours. Like, oof.
But if you wouldn't have been home,
I wouldn't have flushed the toilet.
You wouldn't have flushed the toilet.
So it's kind of my fault. Like, I understand. Like, this is kind of like I touched it.
Nah, I'm sure if somebody else would have flushed the toilet like the next day, it would have happened then. Right? It's just you happen to be the last person that used it. So if you were gone, whoever would have used it instead would have been the tipping point, I imagine. Right? Yes. So like probably didn't really.
Who knows? But anyway, so it was one of those moments. And Monday, like, I was back. I was going to go teach in person for the first time in 3 weeks, and I just didn't have it in me. So I was like, I'm going to do one more day of Zoom. I physically can't do this. So I was like, sorry, everybody. We're going to have to take just a wee bit of a break. So
just in your background, just put a picture of your soggy floor and be like, this is why.
Well, no, I just told everybody. I was, and then Lillian was telling everybody about the waterfall we had in our playroom when she got to class 2. So she kind of already beat me to the punchline there. But yeah, so I was lessons from this. Will be a light sleeper, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know what the lesson here is. Get a headlamp. There's the lesson. Found it.
Oh my gosh. I can't. Oh, these things. They're so wonderful. And having the dehumidifier, I will say, like, we generally run the dehumidifier pretty much nonstop throughout the summer in the basement. And even a little bit into the winter. But I forgot just how annoying it is to have to replace the bucket, because we have the kind that has that little thing on the back where you just unscrew that and you attach a hose to it and have it go through my floor drain in the basement. Oh man, it just runs nonstop and I don't have to worry about it. Now I've got beeping every hour and a half at me.
Yeah, I'm full sucker. Get in here.
What are you doing? So,
do you feel like Luke Skywalker moisture farming it up?
Moisture farming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I am repurposing it. I am watering our flowers. I am using that to
there you go,
do other stuff with. Right, we have mums on our porch that are thirsty things, so keeping them nice and topped off. I did get our strawberries in the ground with hay on them, so I got to get them, a little damp. So
it's refusing to rain. So
my gosh, it just keeps trying.
It was nice today, trying to have class. Thunder. Kids are like, I'm like, guys, just rejoice. It hasn't happened in like 70 years. It's all right, don't worry.
Yeah. Yesterday was our big day for rain. It
wasn't a big day today. It just like happened this morning.
It was there. Right.
It was nice on the way to school. I was watching the front coming towards us as we were driving. I was like, yes, at last.
Yes. Also major update. I have the Honda back. Also on my
so this was long last.
At long last. At long last, the Honda has returned.
You go.
So this is when I went and test drove a couple brand new Hondas. Not brand new, but like, more modern ones.
Way newer than yours.
Well, yeah. I keep calling mine a 2006. It's actually a 2005. I forget this. It's a 2005.
That's fine.
Honda Accord hybrid.
Doesn't really matter.
The more I have driven other cars, the more I legitimately love this thing. I can't tell you.
Oh my God.
Like I drove several Honda Accords, and I'm going to be that person and say I don't quite have enough behind them.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I didn't think I was going to be this person. And I guess it's because
listeners, you can't see it, but I'm headbutting my microphone right now just in anguish of this sentence. I can't
I got spoiled on it. They used to put big engines in these things, and this thing is way overpowered. It's not safe. Like, I can spin the front tires in this thing in any weather condition. Like, just, it does not matter. Like, you can spin the traction control. This thing is awful, but it's a 3-liter V6 with a battery boost on it to fill in the gaps when the V6 is not enough. This is what they thought of as a hybrid back then. Okay, like, this is where they were coming.
It's not really how hybrids work. That's what a turbocharger is for. So Collin really needs a 1994 Honda Civic turbocharged. That's what he really needs.
Pretty much. I got in this thing and I stomped on it and and I was boom off, and I was like, yeah, that's right. That's why I love this thing so much. They took the hybrid and they were like, what can we do? We need to get this 3-liter V6 is definitely not enough for us. We don't.
So are you telling me, Collin, that your 2005 Honda is faster and more furious than the current generation of Honda Accords?
Yes. It is. This is exactly what I'm getting to. I went from driving. This is exactly. So I went from driving I'm used to driving this 3-liter V6 with the boost on there, so it develops something like 250 horsepower for a front wheel drive 4-door sedan, which is enough. Like that's a lot. And I then was test driving some other ones, and this is their new the 2005 develops 260 horsepower in this thing, which is a lot. Okay. And I test drove the newer ones, and these are all 1.5 liter 4-cylinder engines. And you can feel it. And it's just, it's not exciting to drive. And again, I never thought I was this person.
You have to go higher revs in the force. And like, Collin, that's how 4-cylinders work. You just got to rev them out.
I see. You have, that's what you have to do. This thing, you just plant your foot and you just shoot off like a rocket. And I did test drive. They do make a 2-liter 4-cylinder with a turbo in the sport model. And that's much better. But I will say I also test drove. So the last year that they put a V6 in a Honda Accord was 2017. And I did test drive one of those, and I was like, "This is what I like." So
now I'm going to tell you a secret. Okay, here's a secret for you. It might be easier to find aftermarket engine parts for Honda than literally any other car that has ever been made in the history of the universe. So basically, all you need to do, if you're feeling froggy, just buy Honda. And then if you do something as simple as slap a new air intake, all you have to do is bolt it on. You have 12 more horsepower in your Honda. Right. Just like, boom, done. That's all you got. And it comes out of the box. You basically snap it on, done. That's it. Like Honda is basically just like Lego it up. Just put on stuff.
They really do, especially the Civics. And I will say this whole gripe is also couched in the fact that like the Accord is a much larger body style now. And they use the same power plant in many of the Civics as they do the Accord. So it just feels a little bit underpowered. I did drive.
So you don't know, like die.
Yeah, right.
That, that little pesky problem of like dying in a car crash. Yeah, darn Honda for making you not die. Oh, it's so terrible.
It's so infuriating. So I did test drive some Civics, and obviously the smaller body styles, the smaller engine, it makes a lot more sense, and it feels a lot more peppy. And so that is something that I recognize.
Okay, but here's what you got to remember. So in the Civic, the smaller car with the still smaller engine, but it's more, you make a difference.
Oh yeah,
in how that car forms. So if you put 3 people in that Civic, it now is a dog.
Yeah.
Right. And it doesn't move. Whereas the Accord, because it's bigger and heavier already, your body weight adds only a small percentage into the car. And so it is unaffected by carrying people.
Yes.
So that's what you got to remember here.
This is why I steered clear to the Civic, because I'm sitting in there and then I'm like,
you're being lied to. Because once you get a Megan and some children in there, now it's going to go brr.
Yeah, it's going to go way. And that's the other thing too, of like, like the Civic, like SI or the Civic Sport, like those seem nice and peppy until you put other bodies in them, and then it's like, no thanks. So this is again why I'm going, if it were just me, like the decisions are very different. But now I'm looking at, I need space, I need a little bit of pep, like, because again, if I'm putting 4 people in here and I need to get up and go or accelerate, like I can't just be dogging around. So
yeah,
the hunt still continues.
But again, your weight doesn't make as big of an effect
in the full size
Accord, because it's already bigger, so it's already heavier. So adding more weight is like whatever.
Yeah,
like it doesn't care.
So then I found myself looking at Land Rover Discoveries, and that's entirely
of course. It always ends there.
They're so pretty. Even oh my gosh, they're so pretty. And I'm talking about the ones from like 2004. Like those, I just can't not love those. It's so bad, and you can find you can find some for like $3,000 now. And I'm like, Collin, no.
That's a big no. That's a red flag right there. That's what that is. That is a red. Luckily today, Missouri is under a red flag warning because of all this wind, and Collin is over here trying to buy $3,000 Land Rover. No.
It was just like, I was like, oh, but look at the pretty windows at the top, the Alpine. Oh, so anyway. I
like how on one hand your conversations are like, oh well, the engine is not up to spec and there's turbo lag and I just feel, and then he's like, but the window is prettier than
right. I'm so conflicted. It's just
you are
because it's at the base of it. It's just like I just need a sensible, like humdrum, boring old family sedan, and I couldn't quite do it with our last purchase because it was an Accord, but it was the weird hybrid model that nobody wanted, but I absolutely love now. And like with the and then I was like, oh, let's get a what
you just said the word now,
yes,
right? So you are experiencing this problem of your perception of reality has been altered dramatically by the fact that you have spent so many years with this car. You've bonded with it, is what you've done. And you are you're not just trying to replace a car, Collin. You are trying to replace a bond.
Don't say it. No.
And you cannot replace this bond in a 20-minute test drive. And the problem is you're trying to.
I know.
And you'll never be able to. So either you're just going to drive your Honda forever, or you're going to have to accept that it's time to forge a new bond. And you have to start back at zero.
You know.
And then you have to grow your love from there. You can't start at like 100 where you are now. You can't do it. You got to start you got to build back up. This is important therapy for you right now, okay? Listen.
I know.
We got
and I know, like when we first got the Accord, all of the things I'm talking about now that I really like about it were not on my checklist then.
I know. I was and like, you were like, you were just talking about all the things that annoyed you. I recall this. I remember this happened then. All these things annoyed you.
Oh, yes.
You were like, oh, this is lame, and I don't know, and blah, blah, blah. And now you're just like, I'm in love. It's my soulmate.
It's so bad. And this is why I'm my father's son, because I have this relationship with this car, and I can't let it go. And yes, so I am trying to ground myself again, back with my checklist. Things that we need, like what does this meant to do? What is it to serve? Trying to treat it more like a washing machine as opposed to like, a bond.
That's okay. It's okay. As long as you know it's a bond and you give the new car a chance to grow the bond and don't try to immediately bond with it in like 5 seconds.
The problem is that I immediately bonded with the like almost $60,000 Tesla Model 3.
Okay. Well, all right. So maybe a middle ground bond.
So this because I was just like, oh my gosh, this checks all the boxes and it's wonderful. But trying to be like, okay,
remember that Tesla is owned by an insane person, and be like, oh yeah,
right, yeah.
I don't know if I could support this. I don't.
Again, I should never have driven that car. No, we should never have gone in. But I was like, oh, I would like to drive one of those. That sounds fun. So now I'm trying to find this middle ground again of like sensible within budget, meets the demands of like must. Because the other thing is we're going to probably have this next car for another 7 years. And that's immensely. Yeah. And so trying to plan out a little bit of what are my needs now? And sure, we can always sell the car, but buying and selling cars is a hassle.
It's annoying.
So I'd rather just have this for another 7 to 10 years. So like, I can't think of everything, and that's not what's stopping me. It just goes, I know I'm going to need more space, and I really want dependability. Utmost, that's what I need. And so those are kind of guiding a lot of these decisions as far as like tried and true, which is why the Land Rover thing will never happen.
Exactly. This is why Land Rover is 100% out of the question. Because you want reliability. And that's not it. That's not the answer.
Yes. So trying to put all this together, and it's just what really caught me off guard was how much of and I guess it's just because over the years I've just started driving increasingly faster, and how much that
because you lived in Texas for so long.
Because I did. It broke me, and it was like, oh,
you're like 100. Yes, always.
Yeah, I'll drive through Houston at 102 miles an hour. That's sure, why not? Just that's what caught me off guard. And I was so shocked by that, and I think that also is coming off the heels of I went from that that tiny very underpowered Corolla to back to my car, and I was like, oh, that's a difference. That I can feel that difference, and trying to find the feeling, man, so yeah, still in car shopping. We did test drive what did we test drive recently? Actually, okay, so I was looking at Land Rovers, and then I did test drive a Land Rover Discovery Sport. It's used, and it's the same size as our Jeep. It's weird.
Oh, that's weird.
And we test drove we also test drive a full Grand Cherokee, because I was like, how much bigger does that feel than our Cherokee? Because I've actually never driven one, and I was like, oh, this feels
they're huge.
It is a boat, and annoyingly, no more rear legroom than our Cherokee.
That sounds about right. That's just
right. So where do they now? Importantly, where do they give you that legroom? Okay, front, really? Which I don't really need, but it's all in the cargo. It's all cargo space.
Oh, well, I mean that's useful
as the family grows and stuff. We need to put more stuff back there, but it just was weird how I couldn't get even a couple inches more.
That is weird. Weird. Move the seat back 2 inches. Give something, right?
Yeah. And so that that's a mid-size SUV, and then we drove a compact SUV, and it was the same size, in the back legroom. That was odd. And then we did just drive. I took Megan on a.
This is really weird.
We had 15 minutes left, and I was like, they've got something that I really want to drive, and so we test drove one of those Jeep Wrangler Unlimiteds with the 4 doors.
Oh my goodness!
It was the Sahara edition, which is, by the way, the trim level that I would get for many, many reasons, but. That thing, it's such not a daily car. It's so hilariously awful and bad. I was shocked, because I had driven some of the late 90s, early 2000s Wranglers before, but those were the short ones, and those just felt
the appropriate size ones.
The appropriate size ones.
Yeah,
and those felt different, and they felt lively because they
feel
short
weird. They're so tiny. They feel like you're just gonna do donuts in any second.
Yes, this thing though was just much more of a boat, and it felt just huge, and
they look huge.
It does look huge, and
they look ridiculous. That's the most inappropriate car ever created.
Well, and the fact that it has this one, I think it would have felt different. If it would have had the cloth top, but because it had the hard top, hard top 4-door Wrangler, it feels so
They look
weird,
horrid, right? And when I say listeners, sorry any listeners on this car, I apologize. When I say it's inappropriate, is I have never a Jeep is basically designed to be an off-road vehicle, right? That's what it's for. That's what its job is. This thing cannot go through a ditch. I don't know what it's for. Right? You're talking about cars have purposes, and you need a purpose to drive. I have no idea what it's for. I see them they're all over the place down here. I know many people that have them. They are all immaculately clean and un-Jeepy, right? Right? Many other Jeep owners, they'd never wash their car because it's your Jeep Wrangler, and you're like, yeah, it's muddy.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Right, whatever. Ta-da. I drove through a field yesterday. Why? No one knows, but they drove through a field yesterday. These things, never seen them with even a speck of dirt on them.
Right.
Never. At all. It's so confusing. I don't understand.
And trying to find trying to find a stock version is almost impossible if it's used. It is.
Oh, no. Everyone's put the stupidest wheel and tire combination you could possibly imagine on them.
And I can't stand that because I drove a 1991 Jeep Cherokee. It was inline six with oversized tires, and it was so underpowered it wasn't even funny. Like it was just, and that was with even slightly modifications to it. And knowing that these people are putting huge tires, massive lifts, and not doing anything to the engines, it's like, what are you doing? And the same thing with trying to find like an unmodified Toyota Tacoma of like, I just want just straight from the factory. That's what I want. I don't want all this stuff. They're almost impossible to find and drive and test. So it's like I'm test driving this vehicle, and this one thankfully was actually standard. But I have driven other, like the Tacomas are exceptionally problematic. I know that the Jeep Wranglers are too, but like I drove a Tacoma, and the only used one that they have was like heavily modified. And it was like, well, now I'm just test driving the modification. I'm not even test driving the truck at this point. Like I can't tell you anything about a Tacoma. I can just tell you that this has ruined it. Whatever has happened, this is worse in my approximation. Hello.
Yeah, sorry.
Fine.
Everything is fine. Nothing abnormal happened at all.
Okay. Back to this. What last did you hear?
We were talking about the ugliest Jeep in the world.
Oh, yes.
I was in the middle of saying something about it's annoying because the tires and wheels thing, right? So it's like a personality stamp. People want to like stamp it on the car because like it's a weird thing where you want to buy the most popular car of the year, but you don't want it to look like everybody else's car, so you do something to it to make it like individualized. And it's annoying when it's like with wheels and tires because people just throw them on there and they don't think about like what you said, power, or now your gear ratios are all messed up, right, and all this stuff. You can just put a sticker on your car, right? It's fine. Just put a sticker on the window. Boom. Personalized. It's better. It can come off when you want to resell it to somebody else, right? Because if you put like big giant wheels on your car and all this stuff, like you don't have power now, right? And your gearing is all messed up and it like eats up your rear differential, right? Because your gear ratios are all bad and like your speedometer is wrong and like all this stuff. It's like a whole mess of problems, like because you wanted to put bigger wheels on your car. And so the next person that buys it, right, sometimes you take the wheels off and then you sell it and they didn't know that you have been ruining all the gears in your car, in the transmission and in the differential and everywhere for all that time. They're just like worn out because they've been working way too hard because the ratios have been ineffective. That's what I was saying.
Yes, and it's true. And again, trying to find those unmodified ones, and then you're just left with going, what even is this? Like, this is just a big mess. And so I was kind of shocked by it because again, I had these kind of these memories of like the shorter ones and the but they were older and they were smaller too. Like they hadn't been all puffed up and kind of bloated as the more modern ones are. And so it was just we just drove those. It's been a weird test driving week too. So I don't recommend them. I don't recommend the other ones either. So but what's been new with you? Like nothing ever happened.
So anyway, that's why I hate aftermarket wheels.
They really are terrible. And so it's good stuff.
This hole's out here. It's been being grumpy, but
oh no. Okay. Did you do a speed test?
No, I was afraid. It's always real low anyway. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I do want to talk about. I was trying before we got sidetracked on how awful oversized tires on underpowered off-road vehicles are. I was because nobody does anything about the gearing or anything like that.
Yes.
What was your, unless you want to do something else, what was your main takeaway, or what did you think of the most recent Grand Tour?
It was mostly okay, right? It was mostly pretty good. I didn't mind it. I thought it was pretty good. So I don't know. What are your thoughts before we talk more in detail about it?
I was digging it right up until spoilers, everybody. James May crashed.
Wow, so you weren't digging it for very long.
It had the same. It had a similar feel of some of their other ones, and it was bringing me in, and then that happened, and then granted, they didn't expect that to happen, so naturally, I'm sure they had to erase some scripts. But I think my biggest beef with it was in the Top Gear days. You knew they were scripted, but everything was so cheap that it didn't really feel as scripted. Like when it was kind of more on the nose, it was definitely a joke. But because they have so much money being thrown at this, the scriptedness really comes out, and like the stagedness, and things that were always staged before. I know that, but like it just seems very apparent that they were staged. And it's starting to get a little old. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed my thoughts there, because like that's pretty much exactly it. Like the way that they go about staging it, it's just like, I don't know. It's just not there for me right now. You know what I mean? Like it's just off. There's something that feels off about it. I think you might be right about the money thing, about just how much they play into it. Like you can tell sometimes they're leaning into the joke, right? It's fine. I get it. But also like it kind of ruins a bit of the sincerity about the whole thing, which is what made it, I think that's sort of what made the old stuff like really good, was there was this like sincere undertone to things, right? Like that they were loving things and they enjoyed things, and I feel like they're just bored, and I think that's why. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There are moments, and one thing I always look for is to see if they have genuine laughs around each other when they're talking, and those come through every now and then. But there are times I like the one that just gets me every single time is when in Top Gear, Clarkson has changed his Citroen into the giant high rise, and he is driving down, and James May is unable to breathe. He is laughing so hard behind him.
He's dying.
He is dying. That I look for that all the whole time, and I think basically what I'm trying to do is judging what you're putting your thumb on there, is going, are they bored? Right? Are they having issues? Are they concerned or anything? Yeah,
I think they're just bored, right? And so I feel like that comes across, because like some of the ideas should be good, right? Towing a hut on skis should be humorous.
Yeah.
Right? But it just kind of wasn't, like there should be slightly more actual rally racing in an episode about rally cars. Right?
That's what I was waiting for.
They only did the one thing on the lake or whatever at the very beginning. Like kind of raced around some.
But where was the they race a more modern one, right? Like
there was like just just not.
Because that would have been the perfect time to say, Mr. Willman thinks that you are crazy to now only, only choosing these early 2000s. Because that was a weird premise to begin with of like, why did you just pick the early 2000s era? Unless, because usually
that was the last big like World Rally Championship like explosion where like it was like super popular with everybody. Like a lot of people really liked it. And like, but you still like, even now it's hard to find in the US to watch. Like it's impossible. Like, so I think that might be why. Also because those cars are pretty available because they did make like 12 billion of them.
Oh yeah.
So
it's like in the Top Gear era, they would have been like, we think cars from this era are superior, right? Obviously a ridiculous premise, but like they should have just come out and stated that, because then that would have played into the like, oh, here is a more modern one, or here's one from this, and that's why this is better. They're going to race you and shoot, and you can figure out that you're wrong and beat the tide. Yeah. Like that. I was looking for that and it wasn't there.
I was also disappointed partially because I did watch rally racing in that time. And they like, I don't know why they did this, but the Audi thing just annoyed me, right? The Audi S4 the Clarkson had was the wrong car, because if you're gonna have
2, 1. Okay, we are recording.
All right. So the big problem is the Audi, right?
Okay, why?
Because the Audi is not a car, and a rally car. An Audi S4 is not a rally car. Never was. Never competed in this at all. And so the fact that there is the Subaru WRX, the Mitsubishi Evo 7, where is the Peugeot 206? That is the natural car that fits in this slot. This is the
rest of them.
This is the other car that was competitive during that time, right?
Yeah,
the Peugeot 206. It was a huge thing, right? So where's that at? Where is this? I understand you're trying to be funny and you want to drive an Audi because the Audi Quattro was a big thing, but the Audi Quattro was a big thing in like the 80s, right? Not 1997. Hello. So
do you hear me at all?
It like doesn't fit. And then there's no rally racing. There's no anything, right? It's weird to be like, oh, here's these rally cars. We're going to do no rallying at all. 0. Just sad. It's like, it's a letdown, you know?
Yeah, I think I'm now trying to watch these more with a critical eye, going, what are they trying to tell me through what's on screen? Because if you do watch the other challenges or other things that they do on the show, they are trying to prove a point by the comparisons. I've realized that more and more, but I just wasn't sure what that was this time.
Yeah, I have no idea what it was. Like, again, having the wrong car, having the obvious omission of the Peugeot 206 is a problem, right? I get it. They don't like French cars. I get that's the gag. But like, I was kind of a big one at the time. It feels weird. It just, yeah, like what, I don't understand what the message is supposed to be. I don't get the joke, I guess, because, you know, I, like you said too earlier, like the massive rewrites that have to happen by doing possibly one of the most idiotic things I've ever seen recorded on screen. I
have
a bit
no
of
idea
a problem, right? Like,
why they thought that was a good idea. That was bad.
It was bad. Like, what are you know what I mean? Like, that's a terrible idea. Like, and no way at all is that a good idea to drive down a tiny tunnel full speed at a wall
with lights that weren't even turned on, apparently.
Yeah, like with lights that didn't even turn on until you got into the right bank of lights. That's horrible. Like, that's terrible. Just drive the cars in the snow. It'd be much better. Like, they're rally cars after all. That's what they're for, right? Like, that's how they work. They don't do that. That was just the worst plan I've literally ever seen in my life. You know, and like, I can't believe they actually did that, and then tried to kill James. Like, I don't know how he's not completely dead.
That was genuinely like, oh wow, especially because in times past when wrecks have happened, they cut away from actually like impact or whatever. They kind of show the aftermath.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, and you see, you really get an appreciation for just how little stopping distance he had and how close he was to the wall and to Jeremy and everything. That was shocking. Like when you saw that, it was like, and it happened so fast. You were just like, boom, like, oh my gosh, what is that?
I remember reading that he was in a crash when they were filming this.
Yeah.
Right. But all, obviously all it said was James May has crash, bumps head. Right. That, that's what it said. This was horrible. This is a 100% preventable crash based on the idea that preceded it. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't need to happen.
No.
So, like, other times it's an accident, right? Like, Hammond's crash, the big one, was like legitimately an accident. You know what I mean? Like, he was driving the car and he like screwed up and it crashed. Or anytime they do that, that's what happens. It's like they're driving a car in a moderately normal way and there's an accident. It's fine. I mean, not fine, but like, it's not unreasonable that would happen. This is like 100% guaranteed something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, there's no.
And this is after, they had driven through the tunnels underneath the Parliament building or whatever, from wherever that was, right, to do loudness tests. Like, this is including that shenanigan.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. So I think that kind of took me out of the whole deal, right? The lack of Peugeot 206s.
Yeah.
The fact that they did something so incredibly idiotic, like even by their standards. And then, like you said before, like the way that they did some of the stuff was just like, it's just not. But like the flamethrower thing, that was lame.
Yeah,
it was lame. Is what it was.
That was
humorous.
or the when James got stuck in the ice. At first, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, okay, that's genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
But then how watching the reaction of James, of Jeremy and of Hammond, I was like, oh, okay. I don't feel like you're quite as panicked. And then when Hammond was like, well, I'm into survival stuff, right? I have an idea. I was just like, oh,
yeah, like,
okay. All this was set up to make the Audi the hero, right? Of it, which, okay,
yeah, whatever. But it was just too contrived. There was some parts that were good. Like, it was one of those things. Like, I sort of enjoyed it while I was watching it. I didn't ever want to like turn it off. Right. I didn't ever go, oh my gosh, I have to stop. This is too much. Right. I never said that. But also, there was some parts that were like, they had promise, but then again, they just like, they didn't deliver on the promise. Like, they had we found a workshop, but then like, they just come back like an immeasurable number of days later, and it was just like a completely different car. Like, oh, okay, all right,
yeah.
I see. We're not trying, right?
Was it a different car, or was it a wrap that they did? Like,
well, it was a wrap, but there's no way they did that wrap in that shop right. So that was like, who knows how long later, while they were waiting for James to convalesce,
and again
in some hospital, which again is fine, but like, it was just kind of not interesting.
It's like part of what I enjoyed was like the shots of them like futzing and moving about with the car, and like them even like pretending to put on a bolt or whatever. Like that.
Yeah,
that was fun to watch and see.
Yeah, and then so like the complete just like oh, the door's closed. Oh, it's like there was some hammering noises in the background when Hammond was plugging his car into the computer and typing away, but like,
and even that
it was just kind of like, okay, whatever, like it's fine, I guess. But yeah, it just kind of was not. It was just not. There was something missing about the whole thing, right? It's just very like lackluster, I think is the best phrase to describe it. It's kind of very like meh. Yeah. But it feels like it's just kind of meh, which is sad because these are a premise that should be enjoyable, right? These are not bad ideas that they have, but the execution is just sort of meh, like just.
And I was trying to remember. There is a Top Gear where they is it when they get 3 French cars in from auction and they go and they restore them back to right, and they say they found a shed, and then it was a commentary on people who do resto mods on cars and the cleaning and like the polishing. Do you remember this at all? Where
I remember they went to an auction. I don't remember them being specifically French cars.
Maybe
the auction. The auction episode I'm thinking of is the one where they went and they did the rally in Mallorca.
Oh, this one. Oh, yes.
Like it was like it's not like a world championship rally, but like the like timed rally thing where you have to like drive within the certain speed limit and do the certain thing and hit a certain time goal to do the thing, right?
Yes.
They had James had a weird French car, I think.
He had the French car that he restored with the yellow headlights after they had. Was that one?
I don't know. But I know that Jeremy had the little convertible that was way too small, and Hammond had the cab because his granddad built it. Right. Not really boilers.
But okay, maybe this was a bit. I think this was a bit later. Anyway, that one, they kind of did the same thing with this, where they just pushed them in and then they pushed them out, and the cars had been modified and changed.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite have that same fizz to it.
Yeah.
As other ones. So it was just very again, that word contrived. So it's beautiful scenery.
Yeah, I mean, after you watch Hammond like rip doors off of a car,
oh my god,
and like you watch Jeremy like use a pickaxe to smash a hole in the hood in like the Africa one or whatever, like it's not the same.
Yeah,
when they're just like, anyway, like, so yeah, it was just I mean, I think really the best way to describe it is like flat. Like it's just kind of flat, just kind of like, because I think some of the premise, like you like want to see them do that, right? Like you want to see them actually build the little hut to camp in or come up with it.
Yeah.
But they're just like, oh, here it is. And then we're actually not going to sleep in it, right? We're just going to like, like we're not going to show that part or do anything. So like, there's a lot of like non-delivering on promises as well, which is just boring, because like in that one you're talking about earlier, the one where they did build the campers and Jeremy built the big Citroen multi-story apartment complex or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the joke was they were sleeping in them and they were living in the thing that they made. Right. I realized that they're in the Arctic Circle in the middle of the winter. Right. So like the actual ability to do that is not necessarily there without, dying. So I get it, but it just was after, if that's the standard, then this was just kind of like meh, like kind of not there.
Yeah, so it was an interesting take.
Yeah, I don't know. It was fine. Like, it was fine, right? Was it entertaining? Yeah, it was fine. I wasn't like mad that I watched it, but it just kind of was whatever. So I don't know. Just don't know.
Yeah, I finished that up, I guess, last night or the night before, and I just go. I didn't have that rewatchability to it feeling, which is another point that I judge. Like, what would it be like to see this again? And would I laugh or not or whatever? So that's
yeah. I didn't really laugh that much.
No, I didn't either.
First time. So, because like, oh ha ha, we woke up on a ski resort. Oh ha ha, we slept in a museum hut. Like, I mean,
yeah. Again, that was funny when they were in the Amazon and they thought they were camping in the woods and they woke up on their, we were on the A4
the road.
But that's
again, I understand the joke. Like, there's a joke here about like, it's not actually, because the whole joke of the episode is like, it's not really that wildernessy, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of people live here, and it's pretty connected, right? There's stuff here, so I get the joke, but like, it just wasn't a funny joke.
This felt like it was made for their European viewers. I will say that because
I mean, that's probably fair, right? Like
I'm sure that there were jokes in there that I just didn't. Or, again, that commentary of like, yeah, this is your last great wilderness. And they're like, oh, we'll get ready. Use some windshield wipers.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is definitely part of it, right? Like the European wilderness is like 4 square feet, right? You know what I mean? Like, that is part of the commentary here. But, so that might be the most humorous part of the whole episode, now that I'm thinking about it, actually.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the rest of it just was kind of meh. Right? Meh. And I think part of me was taken aback by the almost death of James May. And like, yo, really? Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, that was... that did kind of set the tone, and maybe if that hadn't happened, the rest of it would have been a lot more lighthearted. But like,
I think so. I think that might be partly true.
Looming over every action, being like, James, like, literally almost died, like on camera too. Not okay.
Yeah, I think that sort of shocking event really took me out of it as well. Like, yo, you really went through with this terrible idea and almost killed James? Like, what the heck? Why would you do this? So, yeah, I think it was so jarring that I think I was not into a lot of other stuff they did, just because I was just so aghast at, like, wow, this, what? It happened like the beginning, and now we got, like, what? Like, so we'll see. We shall see. Sort of an implied cliffhanger ending, right? Like, sort of an implied part 2.
Yes.
At some point. So we will see if that is actually true, and if it is better. Please, no pretend flamethrowers on your car exhaust. Please don't do that.
Not necessary.
It was bad. It like, it was real bad. Like real bad.
Yeah, they weren't even that impressive, but whatever,
No, it was horrible. Like, it looked foolish. So it's just annoying. Like, really? You're gonna give this? Why? So yes, in short, no Peugeot 206. James, too much James May, almost death.
Yeah.
And just a flat affect for a lot of the rest of the stuff where like they're just kind of like, oh, well, here it is.
And I'm sure part of this is, again, like one of the reasons why they stopped the in-studio stuff was because it was like, how much more new things can we do? And out of, now that we are well out of that territory, what else can we have commentary on, or what other funny things can do with cars, but also realizing like Jeremy Clarkson is 62, and so they're getting a bit older, and I guess that's what I wish they had more of, instead of just trying to do funny stuff or do stunts or things like that. Like, I really wish they would start having like more of the more of their commentary or their take on a particular topic or car or thing, like the whole like rally racing, British rally racing kind of tournaments and stuff that played
I think
heavily, like that had themes that they were able to bring up and about and try things, and that just feels kind of missing of, like, I guess their voice in it maybe is what I'm actually missing.
Yeah, I think that might, that's a good point. Like, because I think the most, if I think back to the old Top Gear episodes, like the most like profound episode where it was like you could really tell there was like you're talking about like their thoughts and their opinions and their takes on things, was the Lancia segment, right? Do you remember this? Where they were talking about the greatest car company in history, and they said it was Lancia. And they were talking about the rally history, and they drove that Stratos around, and they were driving all those Lancias and stuff like that. That was like a very profound thing, right? Like, you miss those moments of profundity, really, in the Grand Tour. Like, they're not there. Like, those really sincere, like, moments of like, no, this is a beautiful thing and I love this, right? You don't get that in these episodes, for whatever reason. They didn't talk about, maybe it was because James died, but like there was no like moments of like, yes, rally racing, this is a sport about X, this is what it means, right? There was no moments of profundity at all. Right, there was no like Jeremy like waxing poetically while doing a burnout, right? Which was always weirdly happened, but like he would do that a lot in the old stuff,
right? Yeah, that's a good point.
There was those moments of like brevity, like serious kind of feeling moments or whatever, and when they're just like 100% weird and silly all the time, it's like, whatever.
Yeah, because they did have those moments of like, we brought all these cars out, we did all these things,
and they came all this way, right? Like,
we came to this conclusion because of XYZ, and now we see this. Like, that's, they didn't have that. That's very rare now because they are just doing the big productions kind of stuff, and it.
Yeah,
you're right.
There was like a weird echo of it when they were talking about the Lancer, right?
Yeah.
A little bit, because they were talking about how hardy it was and how it overcame all this stuff, but like, it didn't ring as sincere as like, some of the other ones they did. Like,
well, there should have been a cutscene to them talking about the history of each one of those cars, showing the pedigree that it came from, the racers, some of the most notable events, and why,
like actual,
why that was the best time,
actual rally footage, right? Yeah. Like, that would have been useful in your rally episode. Yeah. Video of a rally car from the 90s, right? Carlos Sainz, like flipping over. Yeah, they could have. The other option would be Ford Focus. That was the other big rally car there. The but just like stuff like that, or the battles between, because like it was a very Impreza Lancer heavy battle, but like talk about the drivers, talk about talk about the rally courses, because there is a big famous rally in like Sweden or somewhere, right? Or Finland. I can't remember where it is, but like there's they do winter stage race there, and it's like huge and stuff. Like talk about that. Talk about stuff. I don't know, like anything related to the topic at all would be great.
And the only reason, like, they didn't even describe the reason it was. Maybe they didn't want to be too on the nose, but like Scandi Flick, like it's a rally maneuver or whatever, right? Like, like try. Where were the where were the Scandinavian rally drivers that were racing them in some other vehicles or whatever? It just like there was so much that they could have done that for whatever reason they didn't quite pull those strings together. And here I am spending Amazon's money to make this happen. But but it's like, but I just don't. It would have had a much more through line with the rally as opposed to the adventures of them. And maybe that just goes to show like they in and of themselves aren't that interesting of people.
Well,
to like focus on when they don't have like, now we're all doing this thing and this theme in this way.
Well, I don't think that's necessarily true, because like when you watch them do anything like by themselves or in other contexts, like they are very interesting. So I don't really know why it's just so like bleh. You know what I mean? Because like it feels like in this episode, like there wasn't any, like there wasn't a lot of time that it didn't feel like them being them. You know what I mean? It wasn't like Clarkson doing Clarkson-y things or James doing weird Jamesy things, right? It was James driving really fast out of a tunnel into a wall. That's off-brand, right? Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And so I wonder,
there was no like weird Scandinavian facts or Hammond being dumb or like Clarkson being ridiculous, right? Like it was ridiculous, but like not in the correct way, I guess. I don't know. Like it's very odd. It's very odd. Very uncanny valley episode, I feel like.
Yeah, and I wonder how much, again, just kind of behind the scenes, I'd love to know what the difference in the writing rooms look like now than they did when they were at the BBC. To know like how much of things are being written for them, how much they are writing, what that balance is, if it's changed at all, and kind of what the direction is for each episode. Because I definitely think Clarkson still has a heavy hand, if not heavier. But what does that look like in that room where they're putting together an episode? I would love to be a fly on the wall to see what that process is.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting, because that is what it kind of feels like. It's just if there's something that's different, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because there's nobody be like, "Yo, how about you bring it back a minute?" Like if they just like are letting the pure insanity be unleashed, and nobody is reining it in. Right, like
this has been that's been my singular complaint since the very first Grand Tour episode of this. Seems like all shackles have been released and nobody's telling these people no. Like they have no constraints, they have no budget constraints, they have no time constraints, they have no writing constraints, they have nothing. It's just it feels a lot more frantic at times.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what that means for like you said, like what is the vision supposed to be? Like I would like somebody to explain it to me beforehand. Like here's the vision. This is what we want. Right? Yeah. Like is there a message? Are we Is long COVID affecting our brain? Like, what's happening here? Like, what's...
Well, they did say it had been... He did say it had been 3 years since they had filmed.
It's been a long time.
And I was like, surely not.
Well, but maybe not 3.
Not 3, but...
Because they did do the lockdown episode, right?
Yeah.
And I liked that one. That one was pretty good.
But again, that was smaller scope.
Yeah.
Unfamiliar territory. It felt like Top Gear because they were just,
It was focused, right? I think that was focused.
Yeah, it was very focused.
So maybe that's why. But yeah, it's been at least 2 years probably. Maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. So.
Yeah.
I know.
Other than the letdown of the episode, what's been new with you?
Oh, yeah. It was fine. Not a lot. Just going through the week, trying to get my life together for next week, which is going to be ridiculous. The next 2 weeks are going to be just bizarre. So,
oh no,
there's lots of days where like we are doing other things, not class related. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this day is a celebration day. This day is a not Halloween party day. This day is we're tornado drill day. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, so that's fun. Next week's gonna be fun. It's gonna be great.
So sorry.
Yeah, well. So that's pretty much it. Just school. Going through, doing stuff. Trying to figure things out as I go. Right.
I understand how it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So more on that next week.
Next week. Okay.
Be
well,
fully grumpy about that probably.
Okay.
And
well,
but it's all right. It'll be fine.
Okay. Well, I think by the time I stitch all of these pieces together, we'll have something. Not that anything was stitched together. Obviously, this was
never. It's one contiguous piece.
Sorry. Didn't mean to break that wall.
Yeah, 100%.
Figured it out.
Totally fine.
Oh, fine. All good.
Yes.
So.
But I'll leave you with this. I was thinking the other day. I was having a conversation with somebody. So next week, I want you to mull this over.
Okay.
And if my internet's working next week, we're gonna try. I haven't pulled it out of the wall and called somebody else. I want to know. Right, it is now officially holiday season because Halloween is upon us.
Yep.
So I want to know your Halloween candy tier list. Right, which holidays have the best candy? And what do you think that candy is?
Okay,
so that's what we want to talk about next time.
So is it Halloween specific candies, or are we then ranking holidays and their candy options?
I think we're going to rank holidays and their candy options.
Okay.
I think because this is the start now, right, of holiday time, right? I base this purely on when Reese's special editions come on sale, right? So
very good.
They start selling Reese's pumpkins now, and then they stop selling Reese's pumpkins at Easter. So we have a few holidays to rank because all of these holidays, like, they have candy involved, right? So I think we should do twofold system. Okay. We're going to rank the holidays for their candies, like which holiday has the best candy.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about favorite candies at each holiday as part of that conversation. But I want to give you some time to think about this.
Okay. This is a good one. I like this.
It's a deep, potentially deep dive here.
Okay.
So, and sometimes, you might have a holiday where you're like, oh, I'm going to have what is a good candy for this? I don't, right? So, like, this is
True.
Just in case you are like, oh, I don't even like this one, So, holiday candy ranking. This is important information. Holiday season comes up. Reese's Pumpkins go on sale, but that's how you know it's holiday time. Right. That's what.
When they make that big change and the preponderance of candies are out there are in some way holiday themed.
That's true.
Indeed.
And they will be themed after some sort of holiday until Easter, really.
Yes.
Right.
Indeed.
So that's the holiday season for candy. The candy holiday season goes from that. Also goes with the holiday like baking show theme, right? That started back again too. It's Halloween time, and then you have one up until spring, and then no more. Summer's dry. No holidays. No special candy holidays in the summer, right? For some reason, 4th of July doesn't have candy. I guess because you need to spend so much money on fireworks, but
yes, that's what. Okay, well, we will. Yes, we will do that next week.
All right.
Oh no. Yes, looking forward to that. Okay.
Boom.
Very good. And on that note, on that bombshell. Good night. Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.